Yes. 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 Fickle! 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 Is what to describe Daniel Bryan's 2018 in basically several yeses and fickle chants. So, Daniel Bryan would make his return to WWE wrestling full time again via medical reasons because remember, he had retired due to concussion issues and a brain lesion. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, but still. So there was a lot of fear about Bryan. Like I was worried. Like I was glad he would stop. Like okay, Bryan, I get you want to wrestle. I get wrestling is in your blood, but I don't want to end up with another Chris Benoit situation. And sure enough, after 2 years, he started getting evaluations, and yeah, I'm wearing the Crown Jewel shirt, a Bullet Club. But yeah, so for 2 years, Bryan had been basically getting these evaluations, reviews of his medical history, and neurological and physical evaluations, and was cleared by three external independent neurosurgeons, neurologists, and concussion experts, in addition to Joseph Maroon, to return to in-ring competition. In fact, Bryan would basically continue his I don't give a damn attitude he was displaying for a little bit longer, but it would ultimately come to an end. Like that was one of the key things that came out of Ryan's retirement, this I don't give a damn attitude being in WWE. Like he would make these statements that would clearly should get him fired, but Vince couldn't do it because he knows he'd rather have Bryan piss in the castle, piss all over inside the castle than have him piss out of it because everyone else has told him he is 100% cleared. He can be cleared, so he's going to leave WWE and go somewhere else if you don't let him wrestle. And I get the feeling that was one thing that broke it. Like, if he couldn't get Bryan to stop this I don't give a damn attitude, like, there was attempts to make a threatening contract extension, even though really he shouldn't, like Rey Mysterio situation that happened. But, yeah. Bryan would go on to start his feud with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Okay, basically the storyline revolving that is that it seemed originally Bryan was going to cross over to the dark side, but they didn't do it because he got cleared and therefore it wouldn't work now. Though I still thought it could work. And as you know, I had been heavily against Bryan returning to in-ring competition because I know if they do one big mistake, it's going to wreck everything. So, yeah, I was not looking forward to how they handle Bryan since they have a history of injury fetish issues where they exploit an injured area just to fetishize it to get a heel heat. Because exploiting an injury that was just recently recovered from surgery is clearly the best of ideas. So he would pit Bryan and himself and Shane McMahon at WrestleMania 34 against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn after he had fired them, and they would attack him. And Bryan would eventually win that match with his team, and Sami Zayn would tap out, resulting in them being fired. So because of his medical clearance, Bryan had resigned as general manager of SmackDown and replaced it with the now recently retired Paige, that they basically career shamed on 2 occasions. Yeah. Bryan would enter a feud with Big Cass following the Superstar shakeup after convincing Shane and Paige to bring in The Miz so he could end his war with him. I'll get to that when I can. And basically, Bryan would then go on to compete in the Greatest Royal Rumble match, which lasting for 76 minutes. He would be in there for the majority of the Rumble, and he would defeat Rey Mysterio's record. But then he would get eliminated by the guy he was feuding with, Big Cass, and Bryan would defeat Big Cass at Backlash and Money in the Bank. 2 matches no one cared about, and subsequently was erased from WWE history because Money in the Bank afterwards, he was terminated from his contract following a incident. Also, this is when the worries started coming in about Bryan. Like, before Money in the Bank, he was competing in a match for the Money in the Bank qualification against Rusev, and he would do this again for a few more times. He would start doing the diving headbutt again. Bryan, I love you, guy. I love you, man. Like, you're awesome. You're phenomenal. But really, why risk your own health? Like, I get it. You want to give the fans what they want. You want to do what's right for you. You want to do what's right for them. But what's right for people in general are asking, don't do it. Don't do it, man. You're going to kill yourself. Do you not remember what happened to the last guy that did it? Well, he would still do it for a couple more times in the summer. But ultimately, Rusev would win the Money in the Bank contract qualification to be in the mat in the. Oh no! Was it a ladder match? I kind of forgot for Rusev. Just need to double check on that. But like, oh yeah, he was. It's been a while, but yeah. Following his feud, his now non-existent feud with Big Cass, Bryan would reform with Team Hell No against the Bludgeon Brothers. And they would ultimately have this comedic banter back and forth. Like when Kane says, Bryan, you're like a brother to me. You set your brother on fire. And I was like, oh god, the amount of people that are pissed off right now backstage. That Bryan is bringing up past continuity to make the story more deeper than it really should be. Like, Vince hates continuity. You know that. Continuity is evil for Vince. Storytelling logic, pfft. Blasphemous. So sure enough, Bryan and Kane would team up in the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match against the Bludgeon Brothers, aka Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. Now just Harper and Rowan because long names are harmful to kids. Kane was attacked pre-match with Bryan having to compete in a handicap tag team match. And then during the whole event between Miz and Bryan, they would ultimately go to war at SummerSlam. Like, they've been teasing it for months, and after Bryan got Miz to move to SmackDown, this was very exciting for a lot of people. They wanted to see this match. The problem here is, why is it happening at SummerSlam? Why not Royal Rumble? It was basically gift wrapped it to Vince, and they went and spoiled it. You see, Bryan even publicly blasted the company after he had been cleared, where he says WWE does not know how to do long-term storytelling anymore, which is sadly true, but like, Vince, you do realize your own employer is calling you out on your bullshit? Do you not realize what you're doing here? Like, that was possibly the greatest Bryan I don't give a damn attitude he's displaying. So, yeah. And thus, following this, this would finally begin the feud between Miz and Bryan, which really should not have happened yet. Like, I had an idea where they could go with this, but I'll talk about that in a moment. So, Miz would defeat Bryan at SummerSlam due to brass knuckles. Also, there is something that bugged me, is when Bryan was going out to the Miz and Maurice, when they suspect he has his kid with him, I was like, Bryan, this seems really out of character. Even if you knew the baby was fake, you realize you're painting yourself in a bad picture. Like, oh, Bryan's hatred for Miz is so deep, he's going to go and hit and harm a child. Wait, why am I cheering for this guy? Like, we aren't supposed to cheer for Bryan, right? We know it would be faked, but in the context before that, it's like, Bryan, you're kind of risking the health of a child at stake here because you're so angry at Miz for all the goading and pushing and pushing and pushing. Sure enough, Miz would then, following SummerSlam, mock Bryan by delivering a fake retirement speech, and sadly, Brie Bella returned as his partner for a tag team match at Hell in a Cell. Yeah, enough about Brie Bella. I've already commented about her recklessness when she came back for Evolution. Moving on, at Hell in a Cell, Bryan and Bella would lose to Miz Maurice, thank God. And then I was like, okay, maybe they could do this. Miz and Bryan feud, Miz constantly beats him, or circumstances cause Bryan to lose, and then they delay it more to ultimately get the victory at WrestleMania. In a second WrestleMania moment where they could, in theory, have Bryan lose to Miz at Super Showdown, and they would go ahead and have Miz win the WWE Championship, Bryan wins the Rumble, boom, we got our main event. And this was before Becky Lynch got real momentum on fiery momentum. But yeah, sadly that would not happen. Bryan would defeat The Miz to earn a WWE Championship opportunity at Super Showdown within 2 minutes. Oh, there was a reason for that. You see, the reason for that was they just wanted to mock The Miz. Yeah. The whole purpose of that storyline was so Bryan can mock The Miz for a couple of weeks and then be done with it. Congrats, Vince. You had a storyline opportunity for a match of the year potential main event match at WrestleMania, gave routed to you, and you constantly squandered it. And this match meant ultimately nothing in the long run because Bryan didn't work Crown Jewel. He had refused to work in Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia after what happened there, and so they altered it to have the match take place on October 30th of SmackDown, which Bryan lost. And it got reported that Bryan was advocating for Miz to win the match at Super Showdown so he could not work the show. So Bryan's telling you this is a dumb idea. Everyone else is probably telling you this was a dumb idea. But Vince is like, I'm not going to do that. And like, I get that Triple H produced the show. Yes, I get that. And I will condemn him for that. 30 minutes was not necessary for Triple H and The Undertaker at their age. Unless they had younger talent working with them. But Vince had to have made the call on this to have this stupidity nonsense of Bryan's request being turned down. So yeah, and then heading into Survivor Series, Bryan was kind of in limbo state. You see, it was reported WWE probably did not have any more ideas for Bryan, so they were just gonna have him float around for a little bit. And sure enough, they were going to have him be the team captain of Survivor Series and then work with The Miz as a co-captain, which would have been interesting, but kind of frustrating to see these two get along after so much years of hatred, and especially given their feud was just a few months ago, and the fact that this is more like insulting us because we wanted a storyline that would have worked, but they didn't want to have it happen. And sure enough, Bryan would ultimately become a heel when he would challenge AJ Styles again for the title after Paul Heyman announced Bryan as the greatest in-ring performer. Just say wrestler, Vince. And Styles would remind Heyman that he spent the past year getting better at tapping people out, and he made Bryan tap out 2 weeks prior, which would lead to that rematch where Bryan won the WWE Championship for the 4th time following a heel turn low blow and attacking Styles since October 2012. That was the last time he was a heel. And as a result of the title win, Bryan was removed from the Team SmackDown Survivor Series team, with Jeff Hardy taking his place as the team, and he would ultimately face Brock Lesnar and champion versus champion brand supremacy match. This was the match I did not want. No, for years, I will say this now and I will say this again, I had spent 2 to 3 years saying that match should never happen. If by a miracle Bryan got cleared, working with Lesnar was probably the dumbest idea they could go with. Because you knew Lesnar didn't care, you knew he was in for money, he would only work with Bryan because he liked him, but let's be real, he likes The Undertaker, and look what happened to Taker. Let's see, severe concussion and nearly got a broken neck. And yet Vince wanted to go with it. So I was saying, whatever happens to Bryan, it's going to be on Vince's head. And sure enough, during that match, I cringed. I legitimately cringed every time when they did a shot to the head or a German suplex that landed on his neck, because it has been the two biggest areas where his career has always been put in danger. But luckily, Bryan ultimately would not win the match, but he would survive to wrestle another day. And then Bryan would come out to explain his actions, stating that he was following his dreams and that the fans were not here with him during his recovery to return to the ring. I'm guilty on this because I didn't want him to return to the ring for his health. And ultimately, Bryan would cement himself into Joker status of insanity by doing the whole fickle, 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 and start talking crazy talk and insert himself as the new Daniel Bryan. And he would have a rematch with AJ Styles, and that was a phenomenal match, and it ended clean, and he successfully defended it. Then he would look like he was entering a feud with Mustafa Ali heading out of 2018 to 2019, but that got altered probably because they realized, oh shit, we can't really put him in a title match yet because that would be rushing his push. But still, Bryan's highlighted moment was when he slapped Mustafa Ali in the face when Ali was commenting how he has a van because he has a family, he has to drive them around, and Bryan would just smack him in the face and say, ignorant! Ignorant! And I'm just thinking, yeah, that's going to probably be a meme, because let's be real, that is what everyone wants to do to people when they do something very stupid. It would be amazing if no one memed that. But yeah, so Bryan heading out of 2018 looked like he was going to fight Mustafa Ali, and I would have really loved that because that would have been a freaking awesome feud. But they delayed it because reasons. They have Styles, and yeah, here's my iPhone. Thanos. But yeah, ultimately Bryan heading into Royal Rumble is still champion, and he's going to fight AJ Styles. And he's now doing the whole environmental message talk and like, oh, he's going to be that heel. He's going to be the heel that speaks the facts and yeah, everyone condemns him for it because that's illegal. Yeah, a lot of people, like, he keeps bringing up medically, like, real world crap about the environment, how we need to protect it, and people are booing him because don't tell us the facts, man, don't tell us the facts. It's like okay, he's the heel that where you understand why he's doing it, why you get what his reasoning is, why you can understand his reasoning, much like Thanos for, you know, overpopulation concerns and resources, even though he really could just double the resources, but he's criminally insane. But here's the difference. Is it right to compare the biggest badass of Marvel's cinematic universe to a wrestler? Probably not. But I'm going to anyways. So yeah, that's basically the vibe I got when it comes to Bryan speaking these environmental facts. Like, Thanos had a point, but he went about it the wrong way. Bryan has a point, but he's going about it the wrong way. And a report came out that Bryan's merchandise sales are in the zeros. So he's not making any merchandise money. And merchandise money is the norm in WWE. If you're making money for us in the merchandise department, you are guaranteed a push. I'm like, just look at Enzo. We pushed him for a while until his attitude kind of cost him everything. But we were still content if he did not have the accusation against him. 205 Live was sinned for that. Was saved because of his recklessness. That still concerns me of how far Vince would go to hand over WWE, though. But, yeah, it's going to be fascinating what Bryan's going to do heading into WrestleMania. I honestly wished it was Miz and Bryan. It could probably be still doing that, but Miz is said to be turning into a face, probably, which I'm really against. It could probably work, but he thrives more as a heel. And they're doing it very stupidly with the whole Shane McMahon being a best in the world. That really pissed everyone off. But yeah, so Bryan heading into 2019 is going to be pretty interesting to watch. I can't wait what he's going to do. And sure enough, I'm really hoping he heads into WrestleMania as champion. And I really hope It's gonna be big. Like, rumor has it he might fight Shawn Michaels. So, if those rumors are true, which I would probably be all right with, so long as it's not for the title. Since Shawn Michaels did come back for Crown Jewel, and they've been trying to get him back for more matches, which I'm hoping he doesn't really do. But I could probably understand him wanting to work with Bryan, because Bryan and Shawn Michaels have such a friendship back then. He was his teacher, basically. Bryan was his student. It's a student-teacher relationship, and plus with Bryan being this heel, Shawn Michaels could say, look, don't go there. I've been to where you've been. I've been to where I've isolated myself from people I've loved and cared about, and I almost lost everything. My life was on the line even. So, yeah, they could really sell a story like that, but let's be real, WWE will screw it up. So, yeah. So, Bryan, good luck with 2019. I hope you do not get injured or get a career-ending injury on this level of momentum you're on. Really hope his merchandise sales improve, but I don't see that happening in the future for a little bit. But, yeah, this environmental stuff. Like, he did one promo on the new SmackDown of this year, and he had such a look on his face. It's like, okay, you're about to pop a blood vessel, Bryan. You're really about to pop a blood vessel. So, yeah, Bryan has been pretty fun at the end of this year and heading into this year. But it's going to be interesting where they go with this. So, those were my thoughts on Daniel Bryan's 2018. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.